it's pretty clear the Hamas-Israel conflict, well, it's about way more than just headlines, right?
Definitely.
It's demanding a deeper understanding, I think. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Today we're going to be using a simulated podcast script
Okay.
as our guide to unpack some of these events and the historical roots of this really complex conflict.
Yeah.
This isn't just a regional issue either. It
No.
has implications globally.
Absolutely. It has the potential to really impact global stability.
Yeah, and it feels like things are so tense right now.
Oh, incredibly. Incredibly tense.
Especially with these ceasefire negotiations that have just stalled.
Yeah.
Hamas is demanding the release of Palestinian prisoners.
Right.
And I have to admit, I'm a little confused by this. Why is this such a major sticking point?
It's really interesting. It goes beyond just a bargaining chip.
Oh, okay.
To grasp the significance, you have to look back
Okay.
at the history of prisoner exchanges. In this conflict, they haven't been simple swaps.
Right.
They've been highly charged events, deeply symbolic for both sides.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, take the Gilad Shalit exchange.
Okay.
Back in 2011,
Yeah.
Israel released over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners
Wow.
in exchange for one Israeli soldier.
For one, okay.
And this really demonstrates the immense value
Yeah.
placed on these exchanges,
Yeah.
especially by Hamas.
Okay, so that adds like another layer of complexity to this. Then there's that really shocking discovery
Yes.
about one of the bodies returned by Hamas.
Yeah.
It's really rattled a lot of people.
Understandably so. It's a development that really underscores the fragility of trust
Oh, wow.
between the two sides.
Yeah.
Israel expected the release of 4 hostages,
Right.
but one body wasn't a hostage
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
This discrepancy raises serious doubts
Yeah.
about Hamas's intentions
Right.
and their commitment to any agreements.
Yeah.
It's a setback that will be incredibly difficult to overcome.
Like every time there's a glimmer of hope, something happens to pull everyone back.
It feels that way, yeah.
And then, of course, there's the death of Yahya Sinwar back in 2024.
Right.
Help me understand how his absence has impacted the dynamics
Yeah.
within Hamas.
Well, Sinwar, he wasn't just a leader. He was a powerful figure
Yeah.
within Hamas, a symbol of their military strength.
Okay.
And his death created, a vacuum.
Right.
And whenever you have a vacuum like that,
Yeah.
it creates uncertainty.
Right.
And some experts believe this could lead to even greater instability,
Oh, wow.
with various factions within Hamas vying for power.
Oh, so that's kind of concerning. Is there a chance that could even lead to like more extreme actions?
Potentially, yeah, it's a possibility. But there's another side to this as well.
Okay.
This leadership change could present an opportunity.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps a new leader, less entrenched in Sinwar's legacy,
Yeah.
might be more open to dialogue,
Okay.
or willing to consider different approaches.
Interesting.
It's a delicate, uncertain situation, full of potential pitfalls, but maybe also a glimmer of hope.
Yeah. So we're kind of watching closely to see how all of that plays out.
Right.
I think to truly grasp what's happening now, though,
Yeah.
we need to rewind a bit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
What historical events are shaping the conflict today?
Well, there's a lot of history to cover.
Yeah.
But you understand the deep-seated tensions.
Yeah.
I think we should focus on, a pivotal moment,
Okay.
the 1948 Arab-Israeli War.
Okay.
This war, which followed the establishment of Israel,
Right.
led to a mass displacement of Palestinians,
Yeah.
creating a refugee crisis
Right.
that continues to resonate today.
Wow.
It also cemented the issue of land ownership and control
Right.
as a central point of contention.
Okay, so it seems like that really set the stage for so much of what followed. And then decades later, we see the rise of Hamas.
Right.
What were the key factors that led to their emergence?
Well, Hamas didn't appear out of thin air.
Right.
They emerged during the first Intifada
Okay.
in the late 1980s.
Yeah.
This was a period of intense Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation,
Okay.
a time when frustrations were boiling over.
Yeah.
Initially, Hamas functioned primarily as a social organization,
Oh, interesting.
providing services to Palestinians in Gaza.
So their role kind of evolved over time.
Yes,
What led to them shifting toward armed resistance?
as the peace process faltered
Okay.
and frustrations with the ongoing occupation grew,
Yeah.
Hamas gradually adopted a more militant stance.
Okay.
They gained popularity by positioning themselves as a force actively resisting Israeli control,
Right.
a narrative that resonated deeply with many Palestinians,
Yeah.
especially in Gaza.
Okay, and then of course there's that 2006 election.
Yeah,
That really shook things up
it
on
did.
the Palestinian side.
Hamas's victory in the 2006 Palestinian legislative elections, all unexpected,
Right.
um, really highlighted a deep division
Okay.
within Palestinian leadership.
Yeah.
This victory ultimately led to the split
Oh, wow.
between Hamas,
Yeah.
which gained control of Gaza,
Right.
and Fatah,
Okay.
the more secular party
Right.
that controls the West Bank.
So now you've got this fractured Palestinian leadership
Yeah,
that's making any unified approach to negotiations
right.
pretty impossible.
Exactly. The divide between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority
Yeah.
continues to be a major obstacle
Right.
to any progress towards a lasting peace agreement.
Yeah.
It's incredibly difficult to envision a future where those two entities
Yeah.
aren't somehow reconciled.
Yeah, it seems pretty impossible right now. And this division, coupled with the recent escalations, it's resulted in a truly devastating humanitarian
Yeah, it
crisis
has. Yeah.
in Gaza.
Yes.
I'm particularly interested in the impact of the Israeli blockade.
It's a situation that has been condemned by numerous international organizations,
Yeah.
and for good reason.
Yeah.
The blockade, which severely restricts the flow of goods and people into and out of Gaza,
Right.
has created incredibly dire conditions
Yeah.
with the people living there.
Right.
They face shortages of essential supplies,
Wow.
limited access to health care,
Oh gosh.
and a crippled economy.
It's hard to imagine the level of hardship
Yeah,
people are facing.
it's a humanitarian catastrophe, truly,
Yeah.
that has far-reaching implications.
Yeah.
The instability it generates
Right.
has the potential to spill over into neighboring countries,
Right.
further destabilizing the entire region
Yeah.
and contributing to a wider global crisis.
Yeah. You
So,
know. So
really a crucial situation.
we've covered so much, haven't we?
We have,
From the breakdown of the ceasefire talks
right,
to the historical events that really led to this point.
yeah,
And it's clear it's a deeply complicated situation.
it is.
But I think we have to zoom out a little bit
Yeah.
and look at how the rest of the world is responding to all of this.
The international response is, it's crucial to understanding this.
Yeah.
It's a complex web of alliances, historical ties,
Right.
strategic interests.
Right. And it's, let's start with the United States. They've consistently reaffirmed their support for Israel's right to defend itself.
Right.
But it's not quite as simple as it might seem at first glance.
No.
And that's what I'm kind of curious about. There's been this growing chorus of voices,
Yes.
even within the U.S.,
Right.
questioning the approach.
Yeah.
Can you shed some light on those different viewpoints?
Absolutely. While the U.S. government has been unwavering in its public support,
Right.
you're starting to see cracks in that unified front
Interesting.
within the Democratic Party, and especially among younger Americans.
Okay.
There's a growing concern over civilian casualties
Right.
and what's often called the proportionality of response.
Right.
In essence, they're questioning whether the scale of Israel's military actions is justified,
Yeah.
given the threat posed by Hamas.
So it's not just like this black and white situation.
No.
Even within a country known for its strong alliance with Israel.
Right.
What about some of these other key players?
Yeah.
How are countries like Turkey and Qatar reacting?
Okay, so Turkey under President Erdogan has become increasingly vocal
Yeah.
in its criticism of Israel's policies.
Right.
They've been particularly critical of the blockade of Gaza,
Right.
framing it as a form of collective punishment
Okay.
that violates international law.
Right.
And this stance reflects a broader shift in Turkish foreign policy,
Okay.
one that seeks to champion Palestinian rights
Okay.
and position Turkey as a leading voice in the Muslim world.
Interesting. And Qatar, I mean, they've often played this more nuanced role, haven't they,
Yeah.
in the region?
Yeah, Qatar's position is interesting.
Yeah.
They have long-standing ties with both Hamas and Israel
Right.
and have often acted as a mediator
Yeah.
in past conflicts.
Right.
However, in the current crisis,
Yeah.
They've been very critical of Israel's military offensive,
Okay.
calling for a ceasefire and urging a return to negotiations.
Okay, so it seems like all these differing reactions
Yeah,
really highlight how historical relationships and regional alliances
they do.
shape each country's perspective.
Yeah.
How about the European Union?
Okay, so the EU,
What role have they been playing?
they've been trying to tread a delicate path.
Okay.
They've consistently affirmed their support for Israel's right to exist
Okay.
and defend itself,
Right.
but they've also been outspoken in their condemnation of the violence
Right.
and the escalating humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
So they're trying to balance their support for Israel
Yes,
with their concern for
for the Palestinian people.
yeah, for human rights and the plight of the
Exactly.
Palestinian people.
They've been pushing for a diplomatic solution,
Okay.
urging both sides to come back to the negotiating table
Yeah.
and work towards a lasting peace agreement.
Right.
They've also been actively providing humanitarian aid to Gaza
Okay.
and advocating for an easing of the blockade,
Right.
arguing that it's crucial to alleviate the suffering of the civilian population.
Yeah, it seems like finding a unified stance
It has.
within the EU has been a challenge.
Yes.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What potential scenarios could unfold?
It's tough to say.
Yeah.
A lasting ceasefire would require both sides to make significant concessions.
Right.
And that's incredibly challenging in an environment of such deep mistrust.
Right.
We've seen ceasefires hold in the past,
Yeah.
but they've often been temporary,
Right.
a pause in the fighting rather than a genuine step towards peace.
Right. So even if a ceasefire does hold,
Yeah,
it wouldn't necessarily address the underlying issues
right,
driving this conflict.
right.
What happens if these talks completely break down?
Yeah,
What are the potential consequences?
that's a very concerning prospect.
Yeah.
A collapse of the talks could easily lead to a prolonged period of intense fighting
Right.
with potentially devastating consequences for both Israelis and Palestinians.
Right. And let's not forget about the humanitarian crisis
Yes.
in Gaza.
Yes,
It's already a dire situation.
it
It's
is.
hard to imagine how it could get much worse.
Sadly, it could.
Yeah.
A prolonged conflict would only exacerbate the suffering in Gaza.
Right.
We could see a massive increase in casualties,
Yeah.
further destruction of essential infrastructure,
Right.
and an even more severe shortage of food, water, medical supplies.
It's a bleak picture.
It is.
It's hard not to feel a sense of despair,
I understand.
but does this conflict only impact the immediate region?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
This conflict has ripple effects that reach far beyond the borders of Israel and Palestine.
Okay.
Continued instability in the Middle East
Yeah.
has the potential to fuel global tensions, impact energy prices,
Wow.
contribute to the rise of extremism.
It's a reminder that what happens in one part of the world can have these profound consequences
It can.
for all of us.
Yes,
That's a sobering thought.
it is.
And it really underscores why finding a peaceful resolution to this conflict
It does.
is so important, not just for Israelis and Palestinians,
Right?
but for the entire world.
The whole world.
Is there anything we, as individuals,
Yeah,
who may feel very far removed from all of this,
right.
can actually do?
There is.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
We can stay informed.
Okay.
We can educate ourselves about the complexities
Right.
of this conflict,
Yeah.
challenge the simplistic narratives
Right.
and biases that we might encounter,
Right.
and engage in, thoughtful conversations
Right.
about the issues at stake.
So it's about being critical thinkers.
It is.
Doing our own research,
Right.
not simply accepting everything we see and hear
Absolutely.
at face value.
Right.
What else can we do?
We can support organizations that are working on the ground to provide humanitarian aid,
Okay.
promote peace-building initiatives,
Right.
and advocate for human rights.
Okay.
There are many groups doing incredible work to alleviate suffering,
Yeah.
build bridges between communities,
Right.
and advocate for a more just and peaceful future.
So even if we feel powerless,
Yeah.
in the face of such complex
I understand.
and intractable conflict,
Right.
there are concrete steps
There are.
we can take
Yes.
to make a difference.
Even seemingly small actions
Yeah.
can have a ripple effect
Yeah. Okay.
by raising awareness,
Yeah.
engaging in constructive dialogue,
You're right.
and supporting those who are working for peace.
Yeah.
We can contribute to a more hopeful future.
That's a message I think we all need to hear.
We do.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed
It is.
and despairing,
Yeah,
but it's important to remember that change is always possible.
it is. Absolutely.
Speaking of change, let's shift our focus to the future.
Okay.
What are the potential paths towards a resolution?
Yeah.
What would it realistically take to achieve lasting peace?
Big questions.
Yeah.
Big questions.
We'll delve into those critical questions when we return. We've explored the complexities of this conflict,
Yeah.
the historical baggage,
Right.
the current political landscape, the international response. It's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But I think the question that's on everyone's mind is, what is a path
Right.
toward a peace? What does it actually look like?
Yeah.
Is there a realistic way?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Isn't it a question that has been debated for decades?
Yeah.
With no easy answers in sight.
Yeah.
It's important to acknowledge, though,
Yeah.
that there are,
Okay.
proposals on the table,
Yeah.
frameworks that have been discussed for years.
Right.
But as we've seen, even the most well-intentioned plans
Right.
face significant obstacle.
The two-state solution, for example,
Yeah.
it's been the cornerstone of international peace efforts
Right.
for so long, but it feels like it's lost momentum
It has.
in recent years.
Yeah, and there are a few reasons for that.
Okay.
Within Israel,
Yeah.
there's been a shift to the right,
Right.
with more and more people opposing a Palestinian state
Right.
and advocating for the annexation of parts of the West Bank.
Right.
This makes any negotiations incredibly difficult.
And on the Palestinian side,
Yes.
the ongoing division between Hamas and Fatah
Right.
makes presenting a unified front virtually impossible.
Exactly. It's hard to imagine how you can negotiate a lasting peace agreement
Right.
when the Palestinian leadership itself
Right.
is so deeply divided.
And then there's the issue of trust, or rather the lack thereof, after years of broken promises,
Yeah.
escalating violence.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly difficult for either side to believe that the other is genuinely committed to peace.
Trust is the foundation
Yeah.
of any successful peace process.
Right.
And rebuilding that trust
Right.
is going to be a long and arduous process.
Right.
It requires more than just words.
Right.
It requires concrete actions
Okay.
that demonstrate a genuine commitment to a shared future.
So even if the two-state solution
Yeah.
is still considered the most viable option
Mhm.
by many,
Yeah.
the path ahead seems incredibly daunting.
It does.
Are there other proposals that offer a more realistic...
Some people advocate for a one-state solution.
Okay.
The idea being to create a single democratic state
Okay.
where Israelis and Palestinians would live together as equal citizens.
Okay, it sounds good in theory, but wouldn't that mean the end?
That's a concern many
Yeah.
Israelis have.
Yeah.
It's a question of identity
Right.
and self-determination.
Right.
Many Israelis feel that a one-state solution would undermine their right to a homeland,
Yeah.
their right to exist as a Jewish nation.
Right. And on the Palestinian side,
Yeah,
wouldn't there be concerns about becoming a minority within a state
absolutely.
dominated by Israelis?
There are deep-seated fears on both sides
Yeah.
about losing their identity, their culture,
Right.
their sense of belonging.
Yeah.
So while the one-state solution might seem appealing to some,
Yeah.
it faces huge practical and emotional hurdles.
Both the two-state and the one-state solutions seem incredibly complex
They are.
and, frankly, pretty daunting.
Yeah.
Are there any other options that might be...
Some experts believe that a more incremental approach
Okay.
might be the way forward
Okay.
instead of trying to solve everything at once.
Right.
They argue for focusing on confidence-building measures,
Okay.
small-scale cooperation projects
Yeah.
that could gradually build trust
Okay.
and create a more conducive environment
Right.
for future negotiations.
What would that look like in practice?
Right.
What kind of projects are we talking about?
Things like joint economic ventures,
Okay.
water sharing agreements,
Okay.
cultural exchange programs.
Okay.
The idea is to find areas where
Right.
cooperation is possible,
Right.
where both sides can see um, tangible benefits
Right.
from working together,
Yeah.
this could create a sense of shared purpose, a
Okay.
recognition that collaboration, not conflict,
Right.
is the best way forward.
So it's about starting small, finding common ground,
Right.
building momentum
Yeah,
towards a larger goal.
exactly.
Are there other regional players that could contribute to this?
Um, some believe
Yeah.
that regional diplomacy is key,
Okay.
that countries like Egypt,
Okay.
Jordan, and Saudi Arabia could play a crucial role
Okay.
in facilitating dialogue and building bridges
Okay.
between Israelis and Palestinians.
What would make those countries more effective than, say,
They have
the United Nations?
they have a unique perspective,
Okay.
a deep understanding of the regional dynamics,
Right.
and perhaps most importantly,
Yeah.
a vested interest in seeing a
Right.
stable and peaceful Middle East.
Right.
Their involvement could carry a lot of weight
Yeah.
and provide a level of reassurance
Right.
that might be lacking from more distant international players.
There's been a lot of talk about the Abraham Accords.
Yeah,
Those agreements normalizing relations
right.
between Israel and several Arab countries.
hmm
Could that be a sign that regional diplomacy is gaining traction?
It's certainly an interesting development.
Yeah.
While those agreements have been controversial,
Yeah.
they do create new possibilities
Okay.
for cooperation and dialogue.
Right.
And who knows,
Yeah.
they might eventually pave the way for a broader peace process that includes the Palestinians.
So it seems like there are various paths that could be explored,
There are.
each with its own set of
Challenges,
and opportunities. Is
opportunities.
there anything else we should consider as we...
It's crucial to remember
Yeah.
that any lasting solution
Yeah.
must address the root causes of this conflict.
Okay.
It's not just about drawing lines on a map
Right.
or signing a peace treaty.
Right.
It's about acknowledging the historical grievances,
Right.
the injustices that have been perpetrated,
Yeah.
and finding ways to create a future
Okay.
where both Israelis and Palestinians feel secure,
Yeah.
respected, and hopeful.
That's a powerful point.
It's not just about ending the violence.
Yeah.
It's about creating a future
Right.
where both sides can truly thrive.
But with so much history,
Yeah.
so much pain,
It's a lot.
so much mistrust,
It
is
is.
that even possible?
It's a question that each of us has to, wrestle with.
Right.
Is it possible to move beyond the anger,
Right.
the fear, the sense of betrayal?
Yeah.
Can we imagine a future
Yeah.
where forgiveness and reconciliation
Right.
replace resentment and revenge?
Yeah.
It's a difficult journey,
Yeah.
but I believe it's one worth taking.
It's a journey that requires empathy,
It does.
understanding,
Yeah.
and a willingness to see the world
Yes.
through the eyes of those who have experienced this conflict.
Absolutely. It's about listening to their stories,
Yeah.
acknowledging their pain,
Right.
and recognizing their humanity.
That brings us back to you,
Yes.
the listener.
It does.
Because ultimately, this isn't just about abstract political solutions or diplomatic maneuvers. It's about real people,
it is
their lives, their hopes, their dreams.
their future.
It's about the choices we make,
It is.
the actions we take,
Yeah.
and the future we want to create.
So we leave you with this question.
Okay.
What role will you play
Yeah.
in building a more peaceful world?
Mm-hmm.
What steps will you take
Yeah.
to promote understanding, to challenge injustice,
Right.
and to advocate for a future
Right.
where all people can live in dignity and security?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is.
A question that we hope
Yes.
this deep dive
Right.
has equipped you to answer.
The conversation continues,
It does.
and we encourage you to be a part of it.
Thank you for joining us
Thank you.
on this journey. Keep learning,
Keep questioning
keep questioning, and keep striving.
for a better tomorrow.